have with us Professor Sampadananda Mishra, who has been making very valuable contributions in the field of Sanskrit in various aspects of promotion of the Sanskrit language. A very serious scholar, winner of various awards. So you will come to know more about him when Professor Mighty will formally introduce him. But I thought I'll take the opportunity to just extend a very warm welcome to you, Professor Sampadananda Mishra. बहु धन्यवादः अत्र अस्मान् अत्र सम्बोधयितुं भवान् अङ्गीकारं कृतवान् इति तर्हि स्वागतम्
धन्यवादः।
IIT मध्ये इति प्रथमवारं भवतः अत्र प्रस्तावनायाः अवसरः अभवत् अस्माकं IIT खड्गपुरे आशां कुर्मः एषः अन्तिममपि न भविष्यति अग्रे बहु अवसराः कल्पयिष्यामः वयं. So with that, I'd like to also extend my warm welcome to Professor Mighty for having accepted to be present on this day. And I request Dr. Sampadananda Mishra to kindly do the Mangala Charanam for us. And then I request Kuldeep to welcome and also introduce Professor Mighty.
वयं सुपुत्रा अमृतस्य नूनं तवेव कार्यार्थमिहोपजाताः निष्कामबुद्ध्यार्थविपन्नसेवा विभो तवाराधनमस्मदीयम् प्रभो देहि देहे बलं धैर्यमन्तः सदाचारमादर्शभूतं विचारम् यदस्माभिरङ्गीकृतं पुण्यकार्यं तवैवाशिषा पूर्णतां तत् प्रयातु जीवने यावदादानं स्यात् प्रदानं ततोऽधिकम् इत्येषा प्रार्थनास्माकं भगवन् परिपूर्यताम् भगवन् परिपूर्यताम् त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
Thank you, Dr. Mishra, for this invocation. On behalf of Sanskriti Club, IIT Kharagpur, I am Kuldeep Kauta. I am here to welcome our today's session chair, Professor Deepak Kumar Maiti. Professor Maiti is the professor and former head of the Department of Aerospace Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. And he is currently the chairman of the Campus School Advisory Committee. So there are 4 schools in campus and he is the chairman of that advisory committee. Professor Maiti did his BE in Civil Engineering from the Bengal Engineering College, which we know by IIEST Shibpur. and he did his master's and PhD from Aerospace Engineering Department at the IIT Kharagpur. After finishing his PhD, he joined IIT Bombay as a senior research engineer, and from there he went to Aeronautical Development Agency, Bangalore, where he worked as a scientist for 6.5 years. After Bangalore, he came back to serving his alma mater as an assistant professor. He joined IIT Kharagpur as an assistant professor in 2004, and since then he has written 80. He has published 80 international journal papers, 70 national and international conference papers, 60 project reports, and has handled several research projects under DST, ISRO, etc. He has been awarded by prestigious awards like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Lifetime Achievement Award by the International Institute of Social and Economic Reforms, Excellence in Aerospace Education Award by the Aeronautical Society of India, Excellence in Education in the First Industry Leadership Award by the Venus International Foundation. So Professor Mehti has guided over, already he has guided 12 research scholar, PhD research scholar, and he is currently supervising 13 research scholar at the institute. So this is the brief introduction about his academic achievements. And with this few words, I would like to invite and thank Professor Mehti for first of all agreeing to chair this session. So I invite him to take this session forward and introduce our today's speaker, Professor Dr. Mishra, and take this session forward. So over to you, Dr. Mehti. Thank you.
Professor Maiti has expressed his sincere apologies that there are kapi samasya asti and he's not being able to connect on the sound as well now. So with his due apologies, he's asked me to continue with the introductions. So it's again, like I said, a great privilege for me to introduce Professor Sampadananda Mishra. And I would like to, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's much to say about the kind of work that Professor Sampadananda Mishra has done on various fronts. He's a passionate scholar, passionate about what the language has to offer to anyone who studies it. So unlike presenting Sanskrit just as a language of communication, he is deeply involved in trying to present this language as a language that can transform our nature and serve as a very valuable tool of education itself. And he has done extensive research work in this domain, as well as he has edited several important works that are there. A more formal introduction of Dr. Sampadananda Mishra. He's working as a professor at the Rashram School of Public Leadership, Rishihood University at Sonipat. Dr. Mishra has founded and launched the first ever 24-hour Sanskrit radio called Divya Vani, a Sanskrit radio, and is single-handedly managing the entire content since its inception in 2013. In the year 2014, Dr. Mishra founded the Samskrita Bala Sahitya Parishad with the aim of creating, evaluating, and propagating children's literature in Sanskrit. The Government of India has conferred the President's Award Maharshi Badarayana Vyasa Sammanam in 2011 on Dr. Mishra for his outstanding contributions to Sanskrit. Dr. Mishra was conferred the Kendriya Sahitya Academy Bala Puraskara for 2018 for his book Shanahi Shanahi, a book of rhyming songs in Sanskrit for children. So, as I mentioned, there is much to be said, and one can only get enriched by engaging with Professor Mishra's works. But with these few words, I would invite Professor Mishra to kindly take us through this enthralling world of Sanskrit and its importance in the world for children and importance of creating children's literature in our country. So with these few words, over to you, Mahodaya.
Namaskar and dhanyavad to the entire IIT Kharagpur family who has been doing this Sanskritotsav, and especially Anuradha for taking this initiative to invite me and then choosing this topic which is very, very dear to my heart. And at the same time, I feel honored and inspired to be here and to speak about Sanskrit and the children's literature in Sanskrit. So it happened that when my association with Sri Aurobindo and the mother, before I came to Pondicherry, I had learned very few things about Sri Aurobindo and the mother, not much of their literature. I was just familiar with their names and the important books of Sri Aurobindo and very few books of Sri the mother. But after I came to Pondicherry, when I started exploring into the contribution of Sri Aurobindo into Sanskrit language, tradition, literature, philosophy, and the deep love that the mother had for Sanskrit. So on 11th of November 1967, when she was approached by a group of teachers with regard to what languages to be taught in the school uh, in the afternoon. So there was discussion, and then one of the teachers said, "What about Sanskrit?" And there, the mother had given a vision for Sanskrit, Sanskrit for India, Sanskrit for the world. And this vision of the mother was again inspired by Sri Aurobindo. She keeps mentioning about it that this was Sri Aurobindo's idea. And in that, she made a very, very significant statement. And this statement, when I read, so that that became the central point of my work. So she said, every child born in India must learn Sanskrit, as every child born in France has to learn French. भारतवर्षे लब्धजन्मा प्रत्येकं शिशु संस्कृतं जानीयात्. That was her statement. And from that day, it was a resolve. It was a vow. It was a vratam that I would work for taking Sanskrit to as many children as possible. So for last 2.5 decades, I have been dedicatedly working for bringing Sanskrit to the children, whether it is in India or abroad. So through various ways. And while preparing materials for introducing Sanskrit to the children, I found and I discovered as a part of my research and as a part of my work and the kind of difficulties that I had in bringing Sanskrit to the children. So I found that there is hardly any good qualitative children's literature, but literature in a true sense, contributing towards a child's inner growth, antarvikas. How does that literature help building characters? How does it instill values? How does it start impacting a child's consciousness positively? And how does it trigger the power of creativity, the power of imagination, the power of observation, the power of original thinking? If a literature is not doing all these things, then it's not a literature at all. So therefore, it is an extremely difficult task to create children's literature. One can write novels, one can write drama, one can create good amount of adult literature, but creating children's literature is a difficult task. I will bring out more points with regard to it. So when I started interacting with the children of various age group and familiarizing myself with the child psychology, because it's very, very important to understand the swabhava and the swadharma of a child, the temperament, temperament of the child, each child that one is dealing with in the classroom or in any manner that one is coming in contact or educating the child. So in that case, I consider always the teachers as extended parents, the teachers as extended parents. So they have a greater responsibility in creating much awareness in the children. So when this was the case that I didn't find very qualitative children's it is, I don't say that there is no availability of children's literature. So there are many people who have written books, small story books, small various kinds of literature people have created, but in a true sense, I'm sorry to say sometimes, because people have put much effort. I respect their scholarship. I respect their vidvatta, their poetic ability, their creative mind. I respect that. But at the same time, even their language skill, their presentation skill is nice. But so far as children's literature is concerned, I have a reservation about much of the works which are available in the name of children's literature. Because merely using a simple language and write something doesn't make a literature a children's literature. There are so many things one has to take care of. In that case, we have many qualitative children's literature in other languages, other regional languages in India and foreign languages. But Sanskrit, children's literature in Sanskrit is the qualitative, the Utkrishta Bala Sahitya is yet to come, yet to come. There are some people, very sensitive people who are writing. And one more thing, what I observe that people feel, as I mentioned one, that merely using a simple language, merely taking a child character like Prahlada, Dhruva, Ashtavakra, or some other child character and writing about them, it doesn't make the children's literature. So, what exactly defines children's literature? So, I will discuss about it. But when I discovered that this is what is the issue, like we do in the research, like we find out we have a research question, and then we build it off our hypothesis, and then try to bring a solution or try to bring that what will be our original contribution in bringing solution to the question that we have in the mind. So the literature review, of course, was there. There are plenty of literature which I collected. In fact, I have this whole idea of establishing a central library where all the children's literature in Sanskrit so far written, whether they're qualitative or not qualitative, but they're available in the name of children's literature, will all be put together at one place. So then people know that, okay, these are the, and then how do we disseminate and then make people know that these literature are available? So there is much work to be done. So I collected huge amount of books. So I think I have got the maximum collection of children's literature in Sanskrit with me, and children's literature of other languages also, because I keep studying so that I know what exactly is a qualitative children's literature. So in 2014, with the aim of evaluating, propagating, and creating qualitative children's literature in Sanskrit and creating more awareness, so I founded Sanskrit Bala Sahitya Parishad, as a part of my work with a group of my colleagues all over India, who have contributed positively towards the children's literature with an open mind. All of them, they joined me, and then we formed this uh, Samskrita Bala Sahitya Parishad. And in the year 2016, it was for the first time a very organized national seminar on children's literature, which I organized. And to tell you on a personal note, most of the participants who participated in that, they all would agree with me, and they will also confess this, that initially when I started writing to them that, okay, we will have this national seminar and then we have to read paper or talk about it, most of them hesitated. Why? They said, when there is not enough materials, what are we going to present? And to most of the speakers, I had to send materials, I had to have discussion with them. So, okay, you talk about this aspect, you talk about that aspect, you talk on this particular person's writings, you talk about that particular person's writings. And also, like, invited the uh, you know poets and the story writers, storytellers from other languages who have got experience. I invited educationists, I invited psychologists, child psychologists, to speak and educate the Sanskrit people who are engaged in children's literature, so then they understand what, when we are creating a children's literature, what are the things that we should keep in the mind. So there were 30 people who presented their papers and a lot of discussion which happened. And then in 2018, I had another national seminar which happened in Kanchipuram. Then there, I didn't have to do much work. Already the awareness had spread, and then people had started working. After Samskrita Bala Sahitya Parishad was founded, and then much work, this national seminar happened, and through the social media, the awareness was created by about the children's literature. Now, many young minds, they have taken up doing PhD on children's literature. Very often I get calls that what are the materials that are available? Please help us. We are doing PhD on children's literature. So now in different places, in different organizations, so things have started about it. Then another unique initiative which I started as a part of this propagation was Bal Kavita Pathotsav. So I think 4 or 5 places we have done this in the national seminars and regional seminars. So where the poets will be invited, even the children will be invited to recite only children's poems, no adult poems, only children's poems. Even children also were allowed to recite their own poems. It also had a lot of appreciations. We also had initiated certain awards about it to propagate people. Then a lot of fine books, because when I'm saying that children's literature has to be qualitative from all angles, from the printing point of view, from the aesthetic point of view, from the language point of view, from the content point of view, from the child's point of view. So from every angle, it has to be qualitative. So most of the Sanskrit books which are available in the market hardly have aesthetic value. So people think that if it is 4 color, then it's a good book. But merely putting 4 color and then art paper printing doesn't make a book aesthetically rich. So one has to have that aesthetic sense while creating a book. What kind of paper we should choose, what kind of design we should make, what kind of illustration is suitable for which kind of writing. So there are a lot of things which need to be taken care of. So once the child has that book in the hand, so I give the example of the book Shani Shani. So anyone who picks up that book, child or adult, can immediately feel that aesthetic value and look at the contents. Similarly, we got Saptavarna Chitrapatanga, Aksharamala, Lalana Gitani. Every book was published and produced very qualitatively. So this is how the work is going on, was going on. Now it is going to take a different turn, and in a different way this work will be propagated. Now coming back to the children's literature, and let me tell you at this point that on last August, this 2021 August, 15th of August. So we launched the first ever children's magazine in Sanskrit, e-magazine. I don't claim that it is first ever children's magazine in Sanskrit, because many people before also have had attempted to do children's magazine. Some of them couldn't continue, some of them may be continuing it. There is hardly any visibility, but this is a first ever children's e-magazine. Why e-magazine? Because there are many other things where we can bring innovation when it is available in electronics format. So it's called Saptavarna, and very rich content. Every month we're bringing it out from August, September, October. 3 month issues are already out, available for anyone to subscribe and then hold it, because we are trying to make it as rich as possible from every angle. It involves a huge amount of cost, so that is why, so we invite people to invest here, we invite people to participate and bring more subscribers to it, so then India's first children's e-magazine in Sanskrit is sustained, and then Sanskrit becomes propagated. It is not my work, it is not any particular organization's work, it is a work of every one of you, every one of us. So please feel that, and then bring more subscribers, you yourself subscribe, and then take it forward. And our team is a dedicated team, and then we promise that we will make it possible to bring Sanskrit in a very simple manner to every child of India. So with that, we are working, and then if you look at the pages, so beautifully illustrated, so aesthetically designed, and the content is also rich, simple, and then we have 30 pages. So every day a child can spend time to read one page, and in 30 pages, when he covers the entire magazine, then the next month's magazine is available. So there will be no pressure. Through songs, through stories, through riddles and puzzles, through question answers, through various kinds of literary products, we are bringing Sanskrit to as many children as possible. Now we know the amount of children's literature available in Sanskrit till date is very, very insignificant. Insignificant in the sense compared to the children's literature available in other Indian and foreign languages. And also all those who are engaged in creating children's literature. Sometimes I feel very sad that there are many children's literature which are awarded by Sahitya Academy, but hardly any child can understand the content of those literature, those awarded literature. For one thing is that even children, adult cannot also understand the way things are written. Maybe for a poet, for him it is easy, he is using simple language, but it's no children's literature at all. Another thing is like the amount of children's literature which are available, even awarded by Sahitya Academy, hardly any child is reading that, cannot read, because there are multiple issues with regard to that. Merely creating literature and then making it available to the children is not going to solve the problem, because if they don't understand the language, how can they read the literature? Of course, literature will help in strengthening their language skill, they will build it up, but the basic knowledge of Sanskrit also simultaneously has to be given to the children. That awareness has to be created. You find hardly any school where Sanskrit is introduced right from the play school. So this is where another initiative which I have been associated, and then I have started this initiative in the Set MR Jaipuriya School, Lucknow, perhaps the one and only mainstream school with the ICSE board, where the children are much pressurized and then have heavy syllabus. So it's perhaps the one and only mainstream school with ICC board which has Sanskrit compulsory, anivarya rupena, compulsory from play school to class 8, and then after that also class 9 and 10 children are opting for Sanskrit. You can go there, find that children speaking Sanskrit playfully, haste khelte Sanskrit, very playfully they learn Sanskrit. So this is how we instill that language skill, vocabulary, and there is tremendous work which need to be done, about which I will discuss. So as I said, that merely describing a child's character, merely using simple language, it doesn't make a literature children's literature. Also, to create children's literature in Sanskrit, it's not easy compared to other Indian languages, because Sanskrit has not been a part of our daily life. So most of the idiomatic expressions are lost almost. And if you don't bring those idiomatic expressions in Sanskrit, which is very, very natural to all languages, the human consciousness, so it doesn't become, then it becomes a arbitrary, artificial kind of literature with no naturalness in it. And the layers of difficulties. These difficulties need to be addressed by everyone who is engaged in creating children's literature and Sanskrit. One needs to have this clarity that why the children should have specific literature. What differences and what similarities are there between the literature meant for children and literature meant for adults? Also, like one needs to look at very carefully to one's own literary experience one enjoyed as a child, and what literary experience one enjoys as an adult. And one has to be very clear about the purpose of children reading literature and what exactly makes a good children's book. And in good children's literature, it is highly expected that it should have originality, importance of ideas, creative and imaginative use of the language, beauty of literary and artistic style, topics of relevance, interest to the children of particular age group for which that children that the literature is meant. And one must find in it memorable characters, situations, valuable insights into human conditions. Then the creator of the children's literature, they also have to take much care that the literature that one creates is enjoyable, is much imaginative, is inspirational, and it offers various literary and artistic preferences, makes the child aware of the cultural heritage, it instills right understanding, empathy, it nurtures moral reasoning at a personal level. At the academic level, it must help improving reading, the reading comprehension, the writing foundation, writing skill, promoting art appreciation, aesthetic sensibility, providing familiarity with varieties of contents. So there are many challenges in creating good quality children's literature, especially in Sanskrit, and these challenges are manifold. And the language is not studied by children from their childhood. The readers of the literature most of the times are adults. You find maximum adults who are reading the children's literature because children are not familiar with the language. For them, someone has to teach this literature. But in other languages, what happens? You just buy a book, give it to a child, he just reads it because he knows the language. And this is how he builds up his language, his power of expression. But it doesn't happen in Sanskrit. Even among the Sanskrit knowing children, there will be very few who would truly understand and appreciate. And as I mentioned, that most of the readers of children's literature in Sanskrit are adults beginning to learn Sanskrit. In a sense, that children's literature in Sanskrit has become synonymous with the literature for beginners, whatever the age may be. So that's what now we have to call the children's literature in Sanskrit. And Along with creating literature for children, we also must make effort, and which is very much necessary, providing opportunities to children, not just for learning Sanskrit, but how do we inspire and then prepare the children to create their own literature. Then we say that yes, we have succeeded in our effort. More number of children creating their own literature would make the right kind of children's literature. Of course, no one is barring the adults to create children's literature, but the point is, like, it has to be of that quality. And number of schools providing Sanskrit education at nursery and primary level at present are very few. That needs to be increased. Sanskrit also, this is a major statement which I and significant statement which I make in almost every platform and everywhere I'm speaking about Sanskrit, that promotion of Sanskrit in isolation is not going to help taking Sanskrit forward. Sanskrit has to be connected with each regional language. If it is in Odisha, Sanskrit has to be connected with Odia and then has to be taught. Its promotion has to be along with Odia. So likewise in every region, every state, along with the regional language, Sanskrit has to be combined. If the promotion of both regional languages and Sanskrit happens simultaneously, this linkage is established, then it becomes a beautiful propagation of Sanskrit. And this is how the regional languages and Sanskrit, they will keep enriching each other and then keep sustaining each other and then keep taking forward each other. If it happens in isolation, then it's not going to happen. So that is why, so one of the initiatives which I have started, and then I also stress that much of the regional language children's literature, one has to pick it up, which regional language children's literature can be translated rightfully in Sanskrit, because there are many challenges also. Sometimes certain idiomatic expressions cannot be translated because there are untranslatable elements in every language. So one has to be very careful in translating those kind of literature. But it is very much necessary that initially we can original children's literature, creating original Sanskrit children's literature is fine, but at the same time the work can become easier translating them into Sanskrit. So recently we conducted a 3-day workshop with the help of NBT, National Book Trust of India. It happened in Auroville, where 10 of us, so we prepared translations of 30 books in 3 days. So in 3 days, we completed 30 books and then submitted it to NBT, which will be available soon. So the design work is going on. So this is how, like, we can take maximum of available children's literature in foreign languages or regional languages of India and then make them available as bilingual. So bilingual also will help, because sometimes there are many who cannot understand the Sanskrit directly, but at the initial stage, this can be bilingual and then slowly it can be just Sanskrit. Then there are, I will just take a few more minutes to bring certain important points before I end, and then we'll go for the question answer. So one of the challenge with regard to the children's literature in Sanskrit is right evaluation. Due to the lack of proper evaluation, proper critics of children's literature in Sanskrit, most of the times, many books which are not meant for children enter into the list of children's literature, even become awarded. So therefore, this must be seriously avoided. Otherwise, it's very difficult to say which is a good children's literature. And for that, we need to create a manual for how do we evaluate children's literature. So sometimes, like, it is really ridiculous to see some of the people. Again, I respect their vidvatna, but when it comes to the children's literature, so they have evaluated children's literature by bringing dhvani, rasa, alankara, all these kinds of, whatever the Alankar Shastra is offering, even Vyakarana. So they found that, okay, this is where this rasa, this is where the dhvani aspect here, auchitya, and all these elements they bring to evaluate children's literature. It's really ridiculous. Children's literature have to be evaluated by following different parameters. So for that, we need, I invite ideas from others that please come up, then I can come out with a manual of critiquing the children's literature, evaluating the children's literature. And due to lack of this, so any literature which is written, which has little simplicity, so or some onomatopoeic words like dung dung, phang phang, shak shak, so it just has entry into children's literature. So therefore, like one has to be very, very careful in this matter, how do we evaluate and then reach at a conclusion that, okay, this is a good qualitative children's literature which can contribute positively towards the inner growth of the child and developing the language skill. The Sahitya element has to be there. When we are saying Bala Sahitya, the Sahitya element has to be there. It should not be completely devoid of the Sahitya element, but at the same time, it is the Bala Sahitya, the children's literature. Much of the children's world have to be kept in mind. And another thing, which of course, children are interested in various things. Their curiosity, the maximum difficulty comes in choosing the words, the new vocabularies. Children are interested in dinosaurs. Children are interested in the SL world. Children are interested in this, that. One has to follow the Yuga Dharma also. Every new gadget that appears, so we have to have the Sanskrit words for those. It's very easy to do Shastrartha in Sanskrit because it is a Shastric language. Very easy to do Shastras. Shastrartha one can do even for days together. But to communicate with a child in Sanskrit for a longer time is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult because the child's curiosity, child's interest, child's world is very different. So how do we lack in creating very sensible, right vocabularies for many modern objects which are the children are using. So then the aesthetic value, developing the vocabularies, aesthetic value, creating manuals for evaluation. So various things, because this aesthetic value, again, I give a lot of importance because this will help children, grow aesthetically sensible. They will develop that sense of appreciation. Much care has to be taken in selecting the art type, the colors, the characters, whatever suits the theme which is presented. It has to be absolutely, content specific, the child's age group specific, and in no manner, there should be any ugliness, exaggeration, overcrowding, wrong choice of colors and characters while presenting a children's literature. So for that, very sensible designers, illustrators, those who are truly creating illustrations for the children. Anyone cannot create children's literature, so anyone cannot illustrate the children's books also. It's an art by itself. And then another thing is, like, we hardly find experts in the art of storytelling in Sanskrit. Storytelling in Sanskrit. This also can be a very effective way of attracting children to read more of the literature. When we create a literature, so let's suppose it is poem, rhyming songs. So I'll give one or two examples also before we create. But there has been some very good quality animated rhyming songs in Sanskrit. There are many people who have written it. Some of them are available, having much views. But at the same time, I have reservation in that many people are translating which are culturally harmful for the children. For example, like someone sent me the song "Rain, Rain, Go Away." It's Sanskrit version. This is culturally inappropriate. in the sense that in our culture, in our Sanskriti, we never say rain, rain, go away. So there are various reasons like why this song was created for them. Here we welcome the rain. Here rain is symbolically, and in the spirituality, rain is the symbol of grace, divine grace. We never say rain, rain, go away. So children may enjoy that music, enjoy that rhyme, but to translate it in Sanskrit, because it is through Sanskrit we are creating that cultural awareness. Now, to bring such kind of things in Sanskrit, directly translating them, they are very culturally harmful. So I have reservation about this. Then one more very important component in creating children's literature, that they must, every one who is creating children's literature must remember, I mentioned it few seconds before, that children have their own world. Children have their own world. They take interest in certain characters, animals, plants, articles, games. So the literature created for them must have the presence of what they take interest in. And the most difficult challenge, as I said, creating new words connected with all that belongs to the children's world. So due to very limited availability of Sanskrit reading materials meant for children in the Indian market, there's a great need to bring out good quality children's literature that can be easily available to children of all ages, and creativity, originality, aesthetic literary style, which are essential for a qualitative literature. So, and this one has to take care, and it must cover a wide range of topics that will be relevant to the interest of the children of various age groups, because age group is very important. In different age group, the different growth happens. And what I would like to suggest, that regular storytelling sessions with children to be organized at various schools, regular children's poems recitation program to be organized on various occasions. So every magazine which is coming in Sanskrit, I would request the editors, please dedicate one page for children in your magazine. So that's how the children's literature, the awareness about it will increase. Let's have more conferences and discussions about Bala Sahitya everywhere, and specific workshops on creative writings in Sanskrit with focus on creating Bala Sahitya, which has never happened yet. Creative writings in Sanskrit, focus on creating Bala Sahitya. So, and of course, like the monthly magazine, which was my dream, which has happened. So I invite others to participate, help, support, and then be a part of it. I'll be very happy. So before I end, I would like to just uh, give you a flavor of what kind of literature I myself have created for the children. So two to three songs, very small time. I'll take hardly 5 minutes to end it. So I'll just recite. So this is what I wrote once. The idea is like it's a Raksha Bandhan day, and the girl is excited to bind Rakhi, and she finds that her brother is sleeping, and then she wakes up her brother, younger brother, saying, "Ay mama bhrata shubha prabhatam रजनीयाता जागृहि अयि मम भ्रातः शुभ प्रभातं रजनीयाता जागृहि सह खेलाव सह धावाव शीघ्रं शीघ्रं जागृहि नहि विलम्बय जागृहि राजति गगने बालभास्कर सुखयति सर्वं मन्दसमीरः राजति गगने बालभास्करः सुखयति सर्वं मन्दसमीरः पक्षिणां सुमधुरकलगानं पक्षिणां सुमधुरकलगानं श्रोतुं शीघ्रं जागृहि नहि विलम्बय जागृहि अयि मम भ्रातः शुभप्रभातं रजनीयाता जागृहि सह खेलावः सह धावावः शीघ्रं शीघ्रं जागृहि नहि विलम्बय जागृहि. So this is one song, and another song which I would like to present, which is about an elephant. So I'm giving a description of the elephant to the child, and when we're writing poems, rhyming songs, it has to be highly melodious so then children enjoy it. So therefore that I keep in mind that it has to be of the beautiful rhyme and then beautiful tune so then children enjoy it. So this one that I'm going to present is on elephant. Gajarajam 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 Vishalakayam Sthulapichandam Vishalakayam Sthulapichandam Pivaracharanam Gajarajam Pivaracharanam Gajarajam Pashyata Pashyata Gajarajam Pashyata Pashyata Gajarajam 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 Lambanasikam Mahadantinam Mantharagamanam Gajarajam Mantharagamanam Gajarajam Pashyata Pashyata Gajarajam Pashyata Pashyata Gajarajam 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 Vistrutabhalam Vishalkarnam Sulalitanayanam Gajarajam Sulalitanayanam Gajarajam Pashyata Pashyata Gajarajam Pashyata Pashyata Gajarajam 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 Gajarajam. So with these words, I thank you for giving me this opportunity, and now I expect anyone has any question, I would like to answer to that.
Let me just give a thanks to Dr. Sampadananda ji. He has nicely described about the child literature in Sanskrit. See, I think as a just to give you an idea, I am looking after the school of IIT Kharagpur campus as a director representative, where I need to handle several parents and children also, depending on their requirement. But what I feel that probably in Sanskrit, whatever moral knowledge we supposed to get, the students in different level, they are not getting. Though some courses are there, moral science subjects are there, but I don't think those literature is sufficient enough to build a moral characteristics in our psychology, children's psychology. And typically, what means probably Dr. Sampadananda ji will take the importance of this, whatever he is trying to give the idea about the Bala Sanskrit literature. With that, I give thanks to Dr. Sampadananda ji Maharaj I'm just saying you are like a Maharaj because you have taken lot of
So
pain to.
that's a very dangerous epithet for me.
But sometimes we are habituated with that type of
Yeah.
word. Uh, but definitely, whatever you are saying, this is required in our current situation of our education system. We have gone to a very competitive situation where many parents are not interested to explore all the opportunities. They are only focused on engineering and medical, not and science. That sometimes creates a problem, even in the child psychology also. They feel that somehow they have to enter into some engineering college or medical college. Thank you once again, IIT Kharagpur point of view to give this talk. There are some questions. I'll just read and address those questions. Professor Kishore has Sanskrit in pre-primary schools. Is it
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, you advocate
probably you
teaching
can give
Sanskrit
a
in
little more
pre-primary
focus on that?
schools. Yeah. So I would strongly advocate that, and then I have been also I've initiated many in many schools the teaching of Sanskrit from pre-primary level. From the play school we start, and then we have created the textbooks also, which the teachers can use in teaching, and that there is a specific teachers training program where teachers get trained to teach at the pre-primary level. So through various activities, through rhyming songs, through conversations, and through various kinds of games and dance, a lot of teaching learning activities we bring into the classroom for making Sanskrit very engaging and interesting for the pre-primary children. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I
Sorry,
think if you
actually,
are
my
speaking
video I am not
something,
able to.
Professor Kishore Ji, you are not audible, sir.
Yeah, you are not audible. Yeah.
Professor Kishore Bhavataha, mic samyak. I think you're still muted. We can't hear you, sir. No, even last time we were not being able to hear you when you were trying to speak. Would you like to log in and out again? Log in or switch it off and come in again? Astu.
Otherwise, you can write your question in the chat box.
Sir, I have a question. Can I ask Professor Maiti?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just have two questions. So, ekam to bahu dhanyavada. I think this has been a brilliant lecture and very useful for us to have documented this aspect of the promotion of the Sanskrit language for the younger generation, for the youngest generation, let's say, or for the upcoming generations. The question I had is that in our parampara, do we not have children's literature available?
No.
Is there parampara wise? So how did, for example, how did
It was
children?
it was not necessary for this, because it was a part of our tradition and teaching and nurturing. So it was not necessary to have specific children's literature, because it was a very different environment and very different way of teaching and nurturing the child. So sometimes, like Panchatantra is labeled as children's literature, but it is not actually. So the purpose was very different.
Satyam.
But there was a lot of like use of simple Sanskrit in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, in the Gita, in various other literature, which can be taken from those and then made a compilation to start teaching or bringing those to the children. Like you say, Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, Acharya Devo Bhava. These are very simple expressions in Sanskrit, coming straight from Upanishads. So, but there was no specific children's literature in that. So it becomes, like necessary when the language has receded back. We have no affinity with the language, and then we are trying to bring back the language to the children. So teaching them the language. So here it is becomes important to create the children's literature.
So, and if I may, just one more follow-up question to that was that we have a lot of children who have joined us today because they are also eager to hear the results of the competitions that they've taken part in. So, Bahu Chhatra Hatra Santi, what would be some advice, or what would be your, if you had to talk to them about the children's literature, specifically addressing them, is there any way that they can also participate in it?
They can
How would you?
participate. So, for example, like some of the activities which I have initiated through the Saptavarna magazine, so they can go through that and participate in that. So participating through many, trying to answer to many riddles and puzzles and various crosswords, and then the games, participate in making something. Like we are giving, for example, Deepavali is coming. So through Sanskrit, we are explaining how you can make your own paper lamp. So what are the ingredients? Every instruction, everything is given in Sanskrit. So can do that. They can participate in many ways. And then we also have competitions of shloka competitions, competitions. Also, like Professor Kishorji has written about pronunciation of Sanskrit is tough. How do pre-primary children respond? I don't think, I mean, like if they can pronounce the very illogical English words with ease, so Sanskrit words, they will do it very easily. And this has been my experience. Children enjoy it like anything. So we don't use any hard, long compound words. So we just teach them shlokas like Munde Munde, Tunde Tunde, Mukhe Mukhe, Navavani. Okay, Deshe Deshe, Grame Grame. These are not very difficult Sanskrit. Of course, I mean, initially it is just they have to simple songs. They have to, dance with us. They have to play with us. I don't think children find it difficult to pronounce. Though some children have difficulty, but they overcome that difficulty. But maximum children, they enjoy. And we don't use long compound words and difficult words at the primary level. So the choice of words are also very conducive to that age group. Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, thank you very much. We've got Professor Desai and we've got some other professors. And even if there are any children who would like to ask anything, Professor
I wanted
Maiti?
to just ask. Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
wanted to ask.
Yeah, please, Somesh.
Yeah, it was actually very good presentation. I mean, like you gave so much information. I just wanted to say something about Panchatantra, Hitopadesha. So they are more like pedagogy thing. Basically, they are trying to teach the policy, the niti, which included all kind of nitis. I mean, like it had Rajniti, Parivar Niti, Mitra Niti, Shatru Niti. So it was more of a educative material. And I think same thing goes with the Hitopadesh also. But I remember, I mean, I'm not that much expert in Sanskrit literature as such. I mean, I have read, but not that much. But we had some shlokas as well as something which was on like puzzles. Something was there on the, you can say, Vyangya or Hasya Vyang. So, which can be considered as some part of children literature. But children literature in the sense of like stories and poems, that I have not come across much. So I think that is more of a modern this one. The ancient literature, I am not aware that is there. So probably it needs to be looked into. But of course, it may be true with language. I mean, literature in every other language also, because initial things they start with the religious, and then of course political policy matters, and then historical, mythological, and other things. So the children thing comes actually much later. I mean, if you see in other areas of arts or films or drama and other things also, so there also it happens in that way. So the children thing comes
Sure.
much later. So maybe because after I mean, in last few centuries, I mean, the Sanskrit literature was not there. I mean, the Sanskrit literature was heavily produced during before 1000 AD actually, and maybe some literature was produced in 1100, 1200 AD also. But after that, the production of Sanskrit literature became much less. So maybe that trends of children literature are less. So probably a sustained effort needs to be made, and I am very happy that you are doing by producing a magazine and many other things that people are doing. I think at least it will create a lot of curiosity and maybe some inspiration to some new groups which can actually start this kind of movement. I think that is the need of the hour, because once it goes to the children level, then things really progress. As we have seen in the literature for Hindi and for many other regional, like in Bangla literature, I mean, there is a lot of things about the children. Again, they are same thing that old ones did not have, but slowly, I mean, in the 20th century, a lot of writers they wrote children's literature, and therefore it became popular. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make these
Dhanyawad.
comments. There is nothing specific question here.
No, no,
Yeah.
good. Thank you, sir.
Uh, uh, Sampadananda
Ji.
can I continue? Some more questions are there in the chat box.
Yeah, so I see one more question, like can Sanskrit have comics like Amar Chitra Katha or more contemporary graphic novels? Yes. So if you visit our Saptavarna magazine, so we dedicate 1 or 2 pages bringing very high quality comics in Sanskrit. So sometimes it is a translation maybe, but most of the times we present the original comics, so which is very contemporary in nature. And this October issue has a very beautiful comics, you can see. Of course, it is a translation of a very famous children's literature maker, but it's very wonderful. And every issue we are trying dedicating 2 pages for this kind of comics, and many others also can make attempt in bringing out specific comics. So it's happening.
Thank you. Uh, see, just to give you idea, in our school level, I think after class 5th, they are students are exposed to Sanskrit language. Not before that. Most probably it is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. That is the optional subject. Means third subject as a third subject. Just one more question, Mrs. Payal Ray has raised. Is there any relation between children's literature and folk literature? If yes, then what is that?
You see, folk literature also can be a powerful way of, bringing children, because most of the, say for example, you take the folk music or the folk literature that you have, many of the folk songs, children fall in love with those folk songs. So most of the times the tune, the folk tune and the folk songs, the content of the folk songs can be adopted in Sanskrit and reproduced those songs, and it is easy. And most of the Sanskrit chandas have a very close affinity with the folk tunes. So it's easy to create such type of literature in Sanskrit using especially the lesser number of chandas, like chandas with 7 syllables, 5 syllables, 4 syllables, which are not much in use, but they're very lyrical in nature, and they have a greater affinity with the folk tuning. So it can be used, which are natural, and children fall in love with those kind of literature.
Could you, if you don't mind, just give us an example, like just to give the audience a taste of this, what you're saying?
I myself have not experimented on it, but from the Chandas point of view, I can uh, say maximum number of, uh, you know, say Bollywood songs. If you see, very popular Bollywood songs have that folk touch, especially in A.R. Rahman's music. You can say compare it, and when I scan it, the timing, and then I find that they're entirely based on Sanskrit chandas. So yes, so many of hundreds of Bollywood songs which have got that folk touch, and then which have become immortal songs, you can say. So I have
Again,
scanned
can I
those.
request you for an
That
example?
example I can give.
Huh.
That
Can you
example
give
I
us an
can give. So
example?
for example, okay. So now you all can guess what Bollywood song I'm imitating. Not imitating. Actually, this is the bass. So. भजे व्रजैकमण्डनं समस्तपापखण्डनं सुपिच्छगुच्छमस्तकं सुनादवेणुहस्तकम्. You can guess what tune I'm doing. This is entirely Panchachamara. So based on Panchachamara, and Panchachamara matches with many folk tunes. So this is one example. Or you take Raya Rahman's Choti Si Aasa. It's a very folk based tune. So that matches with Bhujanga Prayatam. You can say Natatu Namata Nabandhur Nadata Naputro Naputri Nabhrutyo Nabharta Najaya Navidya Navrittir Mamaiva Gatistvam Tvameka Bhavani. And the same Panchachamara also matches with another folk tune which was used in Delhi 6 film, Maula, Maula. So that tune, Natato, Namata, Nabandhur, Nadata, Naputro, Naputri, Nabhrutyo, Nabharta, Najaya, Navidya, Navrittir Gatisvam Gatisvam Tvameka Bhavani Gatisvam. So like this, hundreds of different folk tunes which were used in the Bollywood films, so that I have scanned, and then I found that they're entirely based on Sanskrit chandas. So that's a entirely different research of mine, where I have documented those things. And to use that in creating more children's literature would be a very powerful means of reaching out to the children, because they're already familiar, especially the young minds. They're familiar with the tune. Even the children also are familiar with those tunes.
Can I ask something related to
Yes,
this?
please.
I'm asking that how this folk literature facilitate the children's literature.
Facilitate means like one can take the content of the folk literature and then try to create it in Sanskrit, the same content or in the same format.
Okay, thank you so much. You have
That
a
way
good
it will be
voice.
appealing for the children.
You have a good voice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
Professor
thank you.
Mishra, मैं एक प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं?
जी पूछिए.
हाँ,
Yeah.
तो आपका समूह का जो काम, जो संस्कृत भारती का या अन्य कोई संस्थाएं, बहुत सारे संस्थाएं होंगे, उनके साथ कितना सिमिलर है या डिफरेंट है या कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री है, तो और इसका प्रभाव क्या पड़ रहा है?
है कि हर चीज में थोड़ा क्वालिटेटिव बनना, और बच्चों के पास ज्यादातर बच्चों के साइकोलॉजी को समझ के जिस प्रकार के साहित्य, जिस प्रकार के टेक्स्ट बुक, जिस प्रकार के लर्निंग टेक्निक कैन हेल्प बच्चों के सहायता कर सकता है, तो उसको मैं यूज करता हूं. तो दिस इवैल्यूएशन कैन बी मेड बाय अदर्स. So what difference or what is complementing, or in whatever way you want to evaluate it. I myself have not met. So it is left to others to evaluate it and then check it for themselves.
ठीक, धन्यवाद.
Dr. Mishra, can we take some more questions?
Please.
There is a question from, actually not question, there is a query from Mrs. Uma Rao. She is asking, how can we volunteer for your programs for children?
Yes, like we need lots of volunteers, lots of volunteers, because there is much work to be done and there is dearth of money. So if more volunteers join, so the work can happen easily without any investment. So you can reach out to me using my email ID, which can be posted here, and the Saptavarna magazine. So like all this information, they're available on, like one can visit languagecurry.com. Like Language Curry is an application which we created 2 years before. And my whole purpose was to create something like Duolingo, which will be available for where proper pedagogy is followed. And it is a very user-friendly technology where the graded Sanskrit learning happens. And then I can tell you that we have been uh, successful to a great extent in bringing a qualitative way of learning Sanskrit, simple Sanskrit, through the Language Curry application. So in 2 years, we have around 600K downloads. So in another few months, we will be having 1 million people learning Sanskrit using Language Curry application. So you can, it's freely available. We don't charge for it. So it's freely available, and around 170 countries people are learning. Above 4 lakhs people are learning Sanskrit.
Could you
And we
please
also
share?
have
Sorry,
Language Curry.
no, just language curry and Sanskrit. You just go, or how do you do on the app? It's an app you have to download.
It's an application. It's an application available on iOS and Android,
Evam.
both. And Sanskrit can be learned through major Indian languages also. Like if you want to learn it through Kannada, through Gujarati, through Punjabi, through Hindi, through English, through Tamil, you can do that also. So for that, you have to go to the quick learn section and then learn it. And you can listen to the sounds also. So it's a very well appreciated and very structured way of learning simple Sanskrit, conversational Sanskrit.
One question is there from Mrs. Radhika.
Mhm.
On the same line, I want to know if there were novels, mystery books in the ancient times.
In ancient times, novels means, like if you take Kadambari, the Sukumar Charitam, so they were of that nature. They were like Kathanaka, Katha, Upakhyana. So Kadambaris can be taken as a Upanyas, as a novel. So yes, there were. The Sukumar Charita is another. Uh, there were in ancient times these kind of things, and in modern times, like Vasishta Ganapati Muni had, like Shivraj Vijay, you see, Vasishta Ganapati Muni's Purna, they are 19th century novels. But before that, you can take Kadambari as a novel.
To Mishra ji, I got a couple of questions, if I can ask, please.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
My name is Jairam. I'm based in London, UK. I'm an old student of IIT Kharagpur. I just here in, I don't know if you, I'm sure you're aware of this in the UK and Europe, but there's a lot of interest in Sanskrit. And we have in St. James School, they
Yeah.
teach Sanskrit, and I'm actually one of the people helping out with the teaching in Samskrita. What I feel is one thing that seems to be lacking, or there's a perception that Samskrita is not very utilitarian because it's not useful for engineering, etc. Can we not remove that misperception by pointing the children to some of the, not in tremendous detail, but at least giving some pointers to some of the Samskrita work in mathematics, science, botany, astronomy, etc., so that at least the young children would realize that Samskrita has got a huge body of literature in all the technical subjects too.
Yeah, I think there is much work which has happened, and then in my own way, like I have created a lot of exhibition materials. So there are exhibits, like say whatever is our scientific heritage, which are the works which are available, say, with regard to metallurgy, with regard to water science, with regard to physics, chemistry. And there is a beautiful book by S.C. Mukherjee, Suresh Chandra Mukherjee. It's called Sanskrit Companion. So it has a whole full section with bibliographical notes. So the books, primary and secondary books, and even the research materials which are available with regard to different scientific branches.
I see.
So yes. And there are some other books also published by Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan, published by Tirupati Sanskrit Vidyapit, published by Sanskrita Bharati, and many others. And there is also a lot of research works on like positive sciences in ancient India, material sciences, physical sciences in ancient India. There is a lot of even IIT Kharagpur also had organized some program on this. So there is a lot of awareness about the scientific heritage of India, but making it available to the children in a manner. For example, like we have in the Saptavarna magazine, we dedicate one Vijnana Jagat. So now we are introducing something of the science, but in some issues we will be bringing out, okay, these were the scientific texts related to. So we have dedicated one page for Vijnana Jagat, the science
I see.
world.
Okay.
And then how do we present it in Sanskrit? So
So I would
yes,
really
so
like to
these are,
I would like to make contact with you, Dr. Mishra.
yes, sure,
Okay,
you
okay.
please.
And one other related question is that I have is, you mentioned evaluations and exams and so on, and I
No,
find
no,
that
I didn't mention about examination or anything. Evaluating the Sanskrit literature. So, what should be the parameter by which we conclude that this is a good children's literature?
I
So,
see.
how do we critique? How do we critique?
Okay, but what I'm also talking about is in terms of courses and exam.
In terms of courses, like if you talk about examination, I'm completely against it. Examination is a violence.
I see. Okay.
Yes. So there has to be other ways of evaluating the children, assessing the children's capability, but not the present system of examination.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Sampath Mहोदय, with your permission, could I also try to reply about the utilitarian question? And
Yes.
it's something that you are also quite very passionate about. So, Jairamji, just if I may answer that, so one thing that we underestimate about Sanskrit is the fact that it is one of the best linguistic tools to sharpen the human instrument itself, like to sharpen the mind, to make the entire vocal system, the speech mechanism sharp, to help build decision making faculties. It has so many intrinsic benefits just by the very connection with the language. The utterance of the language does so many marvelous things to the human instrument, which I guess, if that is something that one regards as the highest utility, which is to polish the human instrument itself. Once that instrument is polished, then one can do anything, and it will be necessarily a notch higher than if that instrument is blunt. So Sanskrit, I think that this is where we have failed in marketing it in that manner, that it is one of the most efficient literary instruments, linguistic tools to hone the skills, the essential faculties of human nature itself. So I think that, like I said, there's a requirement to represent it in term to redefine utilitarianism versus Sanskrit, utility versus Sanskrit, or whichever way you want to put it. But
And
so
also,
I
like some of these questions, sorry, did I interrupt you in between?
say I'm done. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. So, Jairamji, like, if you can just, like search for my TEDx talk. This is an 18 minutes talk where I've tried to present Sanskrit. Like, what is the value of practical value of learning Sanskrit? So that would answer some of your questions with regard to this.
Okay, Ji, I will look at it. Thank you so much.
Sure.
No, I mean, just to answer to Dr. Chaudhary, Anuradha Chaudhary, I am quite aware of the benefits of the pronunciation, etc., that the benefits that Samskrita pronunciation gives us in terms of uh, improving our life in many other ways. In fact, I do talk about it in the brief classes that I teach. I agree with, but question that keeps coming up is the other utilitarian. What is the, because today a lot of young children, they want to pursue engineering, medicine, etc., which is really the you can't blame them. They want to make money. So the question comes: what is the relevance of Samskrita in that context? That's what I think. Dr. Mishra did answer that part of that. Thank you so much. But I think, but I feel that we do need to bring some focus on that constantly when we teach Sanskrit, I think.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mishra. I think there are some more questions, but I think there are some program remaining. Uh, I hope if somebody wants to get some more clarification about his talk and any other questions, they can contact directly him by through email. I think Professor Chaudhary can give the email to all the
Yes.
interested people. I think we can close it here because otherwise it will be delayed for your other programs. Thank you, Professor Mishra. Thank you once again.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Again, like Bahut Dhanyavada Mohoday for this beautiful presentation and for making us do a lot of food for thought, basically, with respect to Sanskrit literature for children, more pointedly, and also to thank you very much to Professor Maiti for having chaired the session and also shared your the importance of the literature in the way you look at it from as a chairperson of the schools of the campus. So thank you very much for that as well. We have the important part of the program that is remaining, which is the announcement of the results of the competitions that were held earlier this afternoon. So, if I may please invite the judges to share the results one at a time. So, I'd like to invite who's there from the group one, Dr. Hemalata. I'd like to invite Dr. Hemalata to kindly share the results for group one, which was for class 3 to 5. And we had one special student who was from 1 and 2 who also participated in that. So just for our documentation also, we had shared certain verses, certain subhashitas, and also certain verses from the Gita with the students. So they had to learn up with respect to their age group. From 3 to 5, they had to learn up about 5 verses, of which they were asked to first introduce themselves in Sanskrit, then they were asked to recite any one that the judges chose for them and explain it. And finally, they had to also explain it further in terms of show the connection with their life experience, maybe explain a few words in greater depth, etc. So, based on the performance, and yeah, I'd like to invite Dr. Hemlata ji to kindly share the results for group 3 and the group 1 for age group 3 and 5. Ma'am, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Please, please.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can we also see you, ma'am?
Okay.
Can we also see you?
Okay, thank you, and good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to announce the results of Group One. And before I announce the results, I would just like to say that there were 5 participants, and this prize does not mean that the other participants did not do well. In fact, all of them did very well, and the meanings of the shlokas which you were just mentioning, all of them really brought out very well. And so everybody deserves a prize, but some of the kids did a tad better than the others. So here goes the prizes. The first prize is Kritika Ray. Kritika Ray did a very good job of introduction, and the pronunciations were good. And the first prize is to Kritika Ray. Is Kritika Ray around?
Kritika Ray, are you there? Kritika Ray? All right, ma'am. We will make
she's
sure
not
they.
there. So, okay.
Yes.
So we move on to the second one. The second prize is Abir Maji. Abir, are you there?
He's also not there, ma'am.
I think the kids have left. And the third prize is Aniket Kumar Prushti. In fact, this child brought out he mentioned that there was a Subhashitani which you had, Kakacheshta Bakadyanam. So this child, we asked him how he actually like how did he practice it in his life. So he said that he went for a long jump and he failed 2 times, but still did not give up. And that is how that shloka, that's how that shloka has really brought out what he actually did. So he did a good job of that. So the third prize is Aniket Kumar Prushti. Are you there, Aniket? No, he's not.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, no, I think Professor Prushti was also traveling. So he had mentioned that he might
Okay.
not
So
be able
that's
to
it
be
for
there.
group one, and all of them really did very well, and it was a pleasure. And there was another child
Thank you
from
very much, ma'am.
yeah, Bidisha. Bidisha, she a young kid. She recited Udyamena Hi Siddhyanti, and she recited two of them. In fact, she did a very good job of it, and she was very enthusiastic. Yeah. So that's about it, Madam Anuradha.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for sharing the results. I would like to next invite Professor Mrigank Sharad to announce the results for Group 2 for children from class 6 to 8. We can't hear you, sir. Sir, it's muted.
Namaskar to everyone. I hope I'm audible now. So, thank you first of all for giving me this opportunity to be on the panel for this wonderful event. And I must congratulate each and every participant who basically did a very good job of memorizing, understanding, interpreting these very esoteric verses from the Bhagavad Gita and also relating them to daily life. So at such an early stage, just in their middle school, these children are able to grasp these very esoteric verses, and also they have been able to give examples from their daily life, from their interaction with their parents and school life and study life. So it was very fascinating to attend this, and here also many students perform very well, and it may be difficult to have a clear demarcation. But of course, as a part of the process, we two judges, along with Professor Prushti, myself, we have been able to give the marks based on the quality of recital as well as the answers given as part of the interpretation and real life examples. So I will announce the name of the winners. The first prize in this category goes to Surjani Poddar, who rendered a very melodious recital, and along with that, very nicely answered some of the questions and could relate, could connect the verses to the practical life examples. So, I do we have Sujani Poddar here? So, congratulations, Surjani. The next winner, second prize, to Mridul Dandapat, who also did a good job at a very accurate and melodious recitation, and at the same time, he would answer with questions. We try to ask him roundabout ways. We try to ask him, different questions, different words and their meanings. He was able to deal with that, and he was also able to basically interpret those, terms in the verse, which was a very good job. So Mridul gets the second prize, and the third prize goes to Devashrita De. Devashrita also she was giving very nice examples from her school and as well as her daily study routines, etc. So it's very good to see that all these kids, they are able to understand that at this stage in their school life how to apply these concepts of Gita, how to really make sense of all these teachings. Maybe philosophies, uh, some of the religious concepts may not be very clear to them, but definitely the practical aspect, which is easy to grasp and which is very much applicable to this young age, is very useful. And I'm pretty sure if this kind of approach is taken and in more schools are conducting this kind of programs, many students will be benefiting and they will be able to basically uh, they will be able to implement some of these wonderful teachings of Gita, which is beneficial for all. So with this, I would thank everyone, and once again thank to Anuradha ma'am for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your thing. We've got some children, I think, who are trying to say something. Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, ma'am. I am Devashrita. I want to tell.
Devashrita is there. So Devashrita, congratulations. So you have got the third prize in this category.
thank you. If you,
Devashrita,
if you have your video on, we'd love to have your video also. If you can just show yourself, that would be wonderful. And I'd like to announce, like to invite Professor Kishore to kindly announce the results for the group 1.
Yeah, good evening. I hope you are able to hear me. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So it was a wonderful experience, and it was in fact difficult to really rank them. There were 9 of them. There were 9 verses from Gita second chapter, especially beginning with Sitaprajnasya Kabasha, talking about the Karma Yoga. And they recited and they explained. So I would go, the third prize goes to Aditi Mishra. Is Aditi Mishra there? I see her so she can switch on her camera and compliments to you. You have got the third prize. And essentially, if any, has been the only issue with the pronunciation, which was what Halant and Swarant. That is, many of them were using the Halant basically Hindi-based languages which have Halant, unlike Sanskrit, which has a Swaranta. So that was the only issue where we had to look at. Otherwise, they were doing wonderful explanations, and congratulations to Aditi Mishra.
Thank you, sir.
The second prize goes to Srishti Roy. Srishti Roy, you there?
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you switch on your camera?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so we can. Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And the first prize goes to Paulami Roy, who in fact said she, in the process, she has been coming closer to Krishna. Paulami Roy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hearty congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And if Professor Desai wants to add anything, he could do that.
Yes, I would like to invite Professor Desai to please say a few words, because he's been a source of inspiration for us on campus as well to do these activities. So, sir, if you'd like to, Professor Desai, if you'd like to please share a few words for the students, and then we'll announce the results for the IIT campus students competitions, San Shrishti. Professor Desai?
Yes. ठीक.
कृपया.
तो अभिनंदन सभी के लिए. सी थिंग इज, आप ऐसे नहीं सोचना चाहिए कि मुझे आज ये पुरस्कार नहीं मिला, ऐसे नहीं सोचना है. तो जिसमें भाग लेना वही एक है, वही एक साधना है, अचीवमेंट है. तो इसलिए और इसमें जो जिनको कुछ पुरस्कार मिला, तो स्थान मिला, तृतीय हो, द्वितीय हो या प्रथम हो, उनके लिए तो विशेष थोड़ा ये है जो प्रोत्साहन, ऐसे सोच के हम इससे आगे बढ़ना है। ठीक है, तो यही है जो है सभी के लिए अभिनंदन। तो
Thank you,
हम
sir.
वास्तव में एक्चुअली संस्कृत हम सबके प्रमातृभाषा है, मातृभाषाओं की माता। तो इसलिए हम सबके नाम भी लगभग सभी के नाम भी संस्कृत में है। तो इसलिए ये एक ऐसे ये विषय को ये करके हम हर शब्द हर अक्षर के अर्थ के मूल तक जाना चाहिए, तो तभी हम कुछ ये कर पाएंगे। केवल जो रटना ऐसे नहीं है, एक्चुअली हम तो शुका या पैरट बन जाएंगे, ऐसा नहीं बनना है। तो इसलिए हमको ये करना है, उसका अर्थ के मूल तक जाना है और ये इसको हमारे जीवन में इसको ये करना है, ले आना है। यही मेरा सबसे ये जो निवेदन है। तो जो पुनः एक बार सभी को अभिनंदन। हाँ, ठीक है, तो शुभमस्तु।
Bahut dhanyawad Mahoday for your words of encouragement and guidance, Satra. I would lastly like to invite, I'd like to invite in terms of announcing the results, and invite Professor Methi, to chair of the session, to kindly announce the results for the IIT Kharagpur IIT Kharagpur students for Sans Srishti, which involved identifying a Sanskrit song or a stotra, as they have done, some of them, and singing them, introducing themselves and then singing them. So we have one competition in that category, and we have just one entrant for the other competition, which was about creating a video on the past, present, and future. So we'd request Professor Mighty to kindly announce the results for that. Professor Mighty?
I think I have not received any result.
It has not come to you, sir?
No. I am just checking it.
All right.
In both the mails.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just 1 second.
It is not.
Yes, sir. I think there must have been a thing in the mail. I'll just come there, sir. So could you just check your mail, please? It's there. Sir, it should have come to you, sir. Could you just check your mail, please, if you don't mind?
I'm checking. It is on
Yes,
9th.
sir. Abhi, sir. It's come to your Yahoo mail, sir.
Yahoo mail.
Yes, sir. Would you like to send it to me to send it here?
Yeah. I think I'm not able to locate it. It's gone somewhere else.
I'll just send it to you. I'll just send it on your regular mail, sir. I'll just send it there.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, it has been sent, sir. We're just
Okay. Just I'm checking it.
Yes.
I'm on the mail. Yeah. I think I got the mail.
Yes, sir.
This is related to song competition. First prize goes to Anup Singh. Anup Singh, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Congratulations. If you'd like to just
Congratulations.
Yes. Would you like to show your video and
Yes.
All right. So would you like to announce the next one also?
Yeah. The second prize goes to Shruti Kannan. Shruti, are you there? Shruti Kannan
No, sir, she's not there.
is not there. Okay, we'll go to the last prize, that is third prize. That goes to Bhagasri Sharma. Bhagasri, are you there?
Bhagyashree is also not there, sir. No.
Okay. Bhagasri.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then regarding video making, special group entry. That is, I think all entrant has been got the award. Is it?
There's one, yes.
Prasun
Yeah, there are 3 of them who did it and they get the award for it.
Okay. Prasun Chaudhary, then Krishna Haldar,
बहुत धन्यवाद.
Supratik Sarkar.
Thank you. On behalf of them, I am present.
Thank you. Uttamam. Yes.
They also have done lot of work, means on research part, and thank you very much.
Yes, we'll share the video. We'll put it on the website as well. Yes. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Mighty. I would just like to, it's well beyond time also, I'd just like to invite Professor Somesh Kumar Sir as the advisor for the Center of Excellence for Indian Knowledge Systems to just say a few words to close, and also to thank Dr. Sampadananda Mishra, and also invite him to say a few final words and close the session with a Ashanti mantra, please.
Okay. Yeah, namaskar to everyone. It has been really wonderful session, and it also shows a lot of interest that is there among the general people about Sanskrit and about the accessibility to it and how it should be made interesting for the children, actually. I mean, in fact, like if old people only talk, then it is not really interesting. So if you want to take anything forward, it has to go to the younger generation. And that is how we, in the educational institutions, that's what we do. Our job impart the create interest in various subjects. So same thing is true with the Sanskrit also. And Sampadananda's lecture is definitely wonderful. Like he speaks very well, and he has a voice. A singer's voice he is having. Beautifully he sings the shlokas. So it's a pleasure to listen to him. It's like singing in a temple or something like that. Regarding, I think, popularization, I think I would request Anuradha ji, like you have conducted these competitions and all, probably some more things can be done for the school, especially our campus schools, if you can initiate. And then maybe we can take it forward to other schools in the vicinity. Because let us take it local, like what we can do here around our own surroundings. And then we can talk about, because at national level, of course, like Sampadananda and the other people, there are some other volunteer groups are there. But from, I think, our campus side, and also, I think, you are teaching actually the Sanskrit courses, and I have seen that they are somewhat popular. Like your courses for the undergraduate students, they are really popular. Maybe, we need to create more base, basically. I think that is the thing. I think that is the message we should take. Like this activity, we cannot just say that it is over, oh, we have done our thing. No. Like we have to really work very, very, you can say, in a inspired way to take it forward. I think that is my message. And I again thank you and thank Sampadananda for excellent talk and this excellent organization, and then conducting so many events, and you have involved a lot of people. And actually this is the thing, like I said, this is the key thing, that the more people you involve, so everybody is not of the same level. Somebody will do less, somebody will do more, but the level, but if people are involved, they feel that, okay, they are part of the effort that is being done. I think that is what we need. Like, for example, I don't speak in Sanskrit, but I understand and I follow and other things. But I feel part of it, so that's why I'm attending the talk. So I think that is what is important, actually. So with this, I again say Abhinandanam to all, one and all here. Thank you very much. ధన్యవాదాలు.
Dhanyavad Sonasya for
Oh,
your
dhanyavad.
words.
And Professor Mishra, last words from you as your message for children's literature and for children. I would say both are equally important. So how would you, if the mother has said that every child in India should know Sanskrit, then what is your message to children? Why what is your message?
Yeah, it's not just every child, every Indian should learn Sanskrit. So yeah, people say that okay, it's not there in the school. What do we do? It doesn't matter. So one can start always. There are various teachers. There are various organizations which conduct various Sanskrit classes. So one should, like every Indian, they should try to, bring Sanskrit home, and then try to teach their children a little bit of Sanskrit at home. So that whole beginning has to be from home. So that is what I would say, that if every Indian makes effort in bringing Sanskrit home, a lot of change will happen, whether it is there in the school level or not. But Sanskrit should begin at home. People should start speaking little bit, take interest in it, participate in the different works which are happening. So there are people who have money, they should also invest for the promotion of Sanskrit. So this is very much necessary, because for my work I need a lot of money. So you can just like invest in language curry or Devo Bhasha or anyone if you have money. So lot of investment is needed for creating good quality of work. So if that happens also, one can participate in that way. But speaking Sanskrit and bringing Sanskrit home should be the dhyaya of every Indian. So that would bring a lot of change, and then Sanskrit will become a part of our daily life, an integral part of our life. So that would be my message for every Indian, because every Indian, so far as Sanskrit is concerned, is a child to begin.
Satyam. Bahut dhanyawad. Could I also request you to kindly end the session? I think a big round of applause to all the participants who have taken part in the competitions despite various other commitments. It was a time of a lot of exams that were happening. Still, students at the school level as well as the institute level put in that extra effort because of their love for Sanskrit in some way or the other. So congratulations to all of them. Very grateful to all the professors who made the time to also do the judging, and also to who are always there to support any kind of activity that happens with Sanskrit on campus. So extremely fortunate and grateful for their wholehearted support. So at the end, and thank you definitely for making the time to come. And it was supposed to be till 7:30, but you allowed so much more time for these question and answers, which are always much more, and not much more, but very enriching, and add different dimensions to the discourse.
Which was supposed to start at 8. So I told the student to continue with their discussion. So I'll join as soon as it's over.
Please. I request you to kindly end with the Shanti mantra, and we'll let you go. Thank you. Would you like to do a Shanti mantra for us, please?
Yeah, okay. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyam Deva Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatra Sthirairangaistुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद. Namaste. Shubharatri.
Sally, Sunakta.